Now we will move to the closing speech. I would like to introduce you Sigmundur. Sigmundur is a former Prime Minister of Iceland, former Minister of Justice of Iceland. He's a current MP and also the chair of the Centre Party. But if I need to say only one thing about you, Sigmundur, it's not about your extensive CV. I don't know where you are, Sigmundur. It's that you are actually just a good man. You are trying to bring something positive to the society, and you are trying to make your country a better place for all of the citizens. So I think that's the most important thing that I learned about you, even though I spent only 24 hours in Iceland. Sigmundur, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, honored speakers and guests, thank you for this excellent conference. And thank you, Witold, for your very kind words. Thanks to New Direction, all the planners who made this happen. Thanks to Petter and Håkon for all their help to me. Thanks to Bevi for her incredible fight, and to the great panels that we have all enjoyed so much today. This really is a fantastic gathering. But as we've heard today, there is reason for concern, but there is also a new hope. The states of traditional center and right-wing parties in the Nordic countries should, however, worry us, despite the positive developments we've heard about today. I will use my own country as an example, Iceland. It will be a short example, so don't worry, this won't be an Icelandic election speech. In my country, the party on the right, the ruling party of the 20th century, is now almost indistinguishable from the Social Democrats as they were a while ago. The Progressive Party, which used to be on the center with a strong agrarian national conservative streak, is now simply trying to copy the Social Democrats, who in turn positioned themselves left of the socialist left Greens, at least for a while. The current Icelandic government consists of parties that were previously placed on the far left, the center, and on the right. At the start, they said this should not be a government about big political issues, but rather about stability. And what does this stability without politics look like? Spending is totally out of control. No government has increased spending as fast. The budget has grown by over 33% in real terms under one government. Immigration is also totally out of control. Last year we had a record population growth in Iceland, but for every new Icelandic citizen, each single Icelandic citizen, we added 15 new foreigners. Currently, the government has a bill that aims to put more or less the entire nation, from kindergarten to nursing homes, on some sort of re-education course to explain how to think and how to speak. And of course, they call it the hate speech bill. You may not have experienced such a perfect storm of stability, but we see similar developments in other Nordic countries where many parties, from left to right, were becoming indistinguishable from each other. All following the current zeitgeist and, of course, the establishment. All wanting to get into government at any cost, but not too bothered about their previous ideologies once they get there. This is a sad state of affairs for traditional conservative parties, particularly when they have such huge opportunities, given the fact that the new left has gone crazy with their identity politics and anti-society politics. Every pillar of Western civilization and the rule of law is being undermined. We cannot just look on as bystanders and hope that the others will get tired of digging. In fact, many nominally right-wing and centrist politicians are helping them dig and bringing them sandwiches, meaning political nourishment. The 20th century's measurements of left and right in politics have changed so much that some of the founding fathers of the Nordic Social Democrats, like Thorvald Stauning in Denmark and Hjalmar Branting in Sweden, both hated by conservatives in their time, would probably now have more in common with us than the New Left. They were nationalistic, and Stauning's famous election slogan was "Stauning or chaos." Yet the modern left's main objective is chaos. It is their bread and butter. So, the left has gone nuts. But what about the situation with conservatives and libertarians? And of course, also classical liberalism, which we all hold in high regard. Both conservatism and libertarianism are very important. We know that, and we have a lot of libertarians with us here today. Many conservatives support much or most of the libertarian message, but they are not quite the same thing. I'm not here to criticize libertarians, but I need to use them in a sort of free market manner as an example to explain the difficulties of conservatism. Conservatives in the Nordic countries too often seem more afraid of defending their position than the libertarians. Perhaps this is something to do with the fact that libertarianism is an ideology like socialism. Well, not like socialism, it's a much more sensible ideology, but an ideology nonetheless. A set of rules to work by, even though rule number one is we need fewer rules. Meanwhile, conservatism is to a large extent about just common sense, preserving what has worked well and trying to build on it and defend it from those who would tear it down. It's much easier to rally people under a red flag calling for total equity, or under a different banner calling just for freedom. It's more complicated for conservatives because they need to explain every situation. Well, you see, we support freedom. It's one of the most important things we have and want to preserve, but we also support rules to protect things that are valuable and have worked well for us. No one is showing up to a demonstration to shout, "What do we want? We want common sense and taking the whole situation into account and considering all the circumstances." Yeah. Yet the paradox is that the market for conservatism is the biggest political market of all, because most humans are by their nature conservative. Some libertarians risk overlooking the importance of things like society and the nation state. Not all of them, but some do, thereby joining those who would tear down the nation state and the values they are built on, but for different reasons. Where a conservative might see a collection of small but beautiful historic buildings that should be preserved, a hardline libertarian might see excellent potential for tearing the buildings down to make better use of the space and sell luxury apartments for profit. A socialist might look at the old buildings as remnants of a petty bourgeois society that should be torn down so that the state can build more social housing. The net result is the same. The buildings are torn down and no one is happy, apart from maybe those that either buy or are handed an apartment in the concrete and glass boxes that are built by the state or the investor. We should build social housing, but let's make it beautiful. And investors should be able to build as many apartments as they can sell, but without destroying history and beauty in the process. common sense conservatism in the Nordic countries has a fight on its hands, as in other Western countries. Woke ideology, if ideology is the right word for something so erratic, is taking over political parties from the left to the right, to schools, the institutions, the media, the corporations, you name it. We have heard examples of this today. For the left, this offers a way to revive Marxist doctrine by breaking society into different groups with different perceived levels of oppression. Well, the capitalist can use it to get a free ride. A bank can show everyone how caring and good it is with woke advertising, while at the same time raising interest rates and fees on people struggling to pay their mortgage. Most people may not have the time to worry about these things, or the fact that a climate cult is taking over most of our politics. But they should take the time to worry. Because if we lose the basic rules and values that our societies are built on and sacrifice our industries and production of wealth, then our societies will feel it, and it will hit them hard. And that may happen when it's too late to do anything about it. Conservatives need to become more assertive. I know that's not a problem for the people in this room, but shy conservatives need to start saying it loud and proud, that we will fight to preserve the good things that previous generations built and fought for. We will also help those in our society that are in genuine need while offering incentives to succeed. In modern politics, there is a great fear of being controversial. But let me tell you, a politician who is not controversial is a useless politician. So we must point out the idiocy of the new left and others who have been overtaken by its ideology. Point out that they are scammers, race baiters, vandals, and sometimes incoherent morons. Conservatives cannot continue to sit back and hope that this modern lunacy will ultimately collapse under the weight of its own contradictions. Because as it turns out, contradictions are not heavy. They are light. They can float in air. But truth is heavy. It needs strong foundations. And those foundations must be preserved and protected from those who wish to destroy them, while others are distracted by what they see floating in air. And let's not bring a knife to a gunfight. Let's not begin by excusing ourselves with starting sentences like, I'm not prejudiced, but I have some doubts about your approach. Let's just say it like it is. We will not accept this utter bullshit, and we will defend what is right. I know it's the nature of conservatives to be polite, and that must be preserved, but we are dealing with some pretty deranged people here. They have their truth, we have the truth. And if we are not willing to defend it without excuse or compromise, they will win. So, be brave. In fact, you don't even need to be brave. You only need to be true to yourselves, because what conservative would not rather lose after having fought for what he believes in than win fighting for the wrong cause? And if some of those who are conservative at heart, the shy conservatives, believe they represent a bad brand, it is because we are competing on someone else's terms and not selling our vision. Don't be a brand, be a vision, because it is a great vision to sell. Don't meet them on their battlefield, drag them on to yours. The youngest generation is starting to question the new left's woke nonsense. Don't waste your time trying to convince those that despise you to come over to your side. Show those who are waiting for something to believe in that they have champions who are willing to fight for them. Then get them to fight with us by handing them the weapons they need in the form of truth and logic. No one follows those into battle who start by excusing the fact that they are there in the first place and telling everyone that they are not quite as bad as the other side says they are. Have no doubt that you will be hated by those who fear nothing more than the truth. But use their hatred as nourishment, remembering that no one attacks those who don't matter. I've been through many elections and always been told I couldn't win. Sometimes it's gone very well, sometimes not so well. But I could always say that I was proud of what I was fighting for. That is how we must approach our huge project. By knowing that if we fail, we will have done what we could to fight for what is right. And if we succeed, well, then we'll have saved Western civilization.